Here's the thing, you guys. Sean Strickland loves to talk a big game, and if you're not familiar with who he is and just happen to stumble upon one of his rants, you might think that he's one of the most savage men of all time.
And yeah, I'm a bully and I like to hurt people. If I kick someone in the ring, I'd be very happy.
You mean that?
Oh, I love it, absolutely. But I'm okay, I accept that. Like if your eye hits me and maybe I have a brain aneurysm and die, you hear me say I'm okay, that's a good death.
I mean, wow, this guy just doesn't care about anything. What a loose cannon, what a psychopath. Thank God that being an MMA fighter is a career path, because if it wasn't for that, Sean Strickland would probably be just another normal guy with a regular life that probably wouldn't hurt a fly.
I'll tell you something fascinating that I noticed tonight for the first time. Sean Strickland, the way that he acts leading up to fights, right? Normally when you have people who act the way that he acts, you see signs of it in a fight. There's never any hint of how he acts outside the octagon when he's in there. Absolute professional the whole time.
It must just be his happy place or something.
Huh?
It must be his happy place.
I don't know. Or this is all, you know what I mean?
Like, here's the thing, you guys. I don't dislike Sean Strickland. He's been doing his unhinged act for long enough that I don't even find it annoying anymore, and at times can even admit that it's kind of funny.
No man that beats off the cartoons is gonna beat me.
But here's the thing about Sean Strickland, you guys. Your true character is always revealed inside of the cage, and just like Dana White said in a very nice roundabout type of way,
This is all, you know what I mean?
when he fights, he just doesn't seem like he's that guy. And that's because he's not. And as you'll realize by the end of this video, Sean is the furthest thing from a natural fighter or even a guy that enjoys violence, which became abundantly clear in his rematch with Dricus du Plessis. Going into the fight, Strickland promised unrestrained violence. To the death, Dutchman were the exact words that were used.
I can't wait to get out there and try to shorten this man's life for you f***ing guys. As of always, I appreciate you to the f***ing death, Dutchman.
But when it came time to put action behind those words, he fought more like somebody that was terrified to engage and was on his back foot the entirety of the fight, to the point where his own coach Eric Nixick was frustrated between every round and practically begging him to listen to his advice and open up. There was no killer instinct, no warrior spirit, no sense of urgency or going for it because it was a title fight, just the same old jabs and 1-2s over and over again. Sean Strickland froze up under pressure in a very obvious way, and the MMA world finally let him have it.
You know, the lights, man, when them lights hit you, it's the real you shows up. The real you will expose itself when the lights hit you. And that's what's happening to him, is that he's not that guy.
We all watch the fight and we all heard the guy talk about to the death, Dutchman, to the death. This mother talks such a big game. And then he bitches out and basically quits in a fight. It shows your true character. That's what the cage is all about.
I've been saying it forever. Sean sucks. He's trash. He talks a big game, but he's never walks. I would bleed for my fans. I would die for my fans. Blah, blah. But you go out there and he just jabs and teeps, and he fights like a scared little girl.
While this may seem harsh from the outside looking in, with the type of persona that Sean had built throughout the years, it's honestly fully justified. I mean, if somebody tells you over and over that they're a bloodthirsty barbarian and then goes out and performs like they're an expert in female self-defense, at some point their bluff is going to be called. And that's exactly what's happening with Sean Strickland right now, with even his own coach agreeing with the criticism.
It was just uninspired fighting to me. It just seemed like he was sleepwalking. You know, yeah, it was tough, man. I was just trying to dig him out of it. I don't know. I was just disappointed, man. I was disappointed with the whole entire outcome, the whole fight as a process. Just thought it was just kind of flat. It just was a very underwhelming performance in an opportunity to fight for a title. You know, there's people in this sport that never even realize that potential to ever even be an opportunity to fight for a championship. That should be enough to get you motivated, to get you off the couch. So, you know, it just to me was we didn't perform, you know. So it's on all of us. It's on me as a coaching staff. It's on Sean, and you know, I think he needs to evaluate what he wants to do in this sport. If it's just to make money, then that's great. Let us know. You know, I want to coach world champions.
But here's the thing, you guys. This exposure wasn't really an exposure, because if you've been paying attention, Sean Strickland has fought in a very delicate way much more often than not. They never really matched his pre or post-fight trash talk, and the only time he showed any type of true aggression was when he bullied people that weren't professional fighters and posed no genuine threat to him.
I want to enjoy this a little bit longer. Let that right hand go, Steve. There you go.
Most of the recent hype behind Strickland came from his fight against Israel Adesanya in 2023, where he won the belt by dropping and outboxing Izzy for 5 rounds. But here's the thing, you guys, that was about the only performance of that type that he had, and in my opinion, it had a lot more to do with Israel Adesanya's inadequacies as a striker than anything that Sean Strickland did right. Because while Izzy is a great kickboxer, he always had problems with people that use boxing as their main mode of attack, and that got exposed way back at UFC 236 against 5'8" Kelvin Gastelum, where he got his bell rung several times in a hellish fight that he was expected to just win easily. Now back then, Izzy still had the mentality of going out on his shield, so he overcame the adversity and ended up winning the fight. But the Adesanya that fought Sean Strickland had already failed at several of the goals that he visualized, so he no longer had the deluded mindset of winning being the only option because it was his destiny. So when things didn't go his way, he panicked, froze up, and was on survival mode for the rest of the fight. And I know that some people might think that saying that is way too dramatic, as he had just finished Alex Pereira in his previous fight, but as an Adesanya fan, I truly believe that that was the last great performance that he was capable of. And the reason he did so great is because he was extremely familiar with Alex, as that was his 4th time fighting him. They had bad blood, as Pereira had ruined his dreams twice, so Israel sunk every ounce of energy he had into that training camp to pull out that victory. And you could tell by the post-fight interview where he was talking straight nonsense about what he had to do, but that was the place he had to go to mentally in order to get it done.
I've hacked my body, I've hacked my mind, I've hacked my spirit. I've done things this week that I learned a lot about myself. I learned how to raise my testosterone, even just with my mind. Yeah, I've learned so much about myself, standing in front of the mirror, dancing with the shadow self. A lot of people like to shy away from their shadow self. They don't want to dive into that, but I learned to stand there and own it because it's part of me. You know, a lot of people try and say, I'm such a, you know, you're not virtuous, you're not innocent. Everyone, there's no good or bad people. People are just capable of great good or great evil. And tonight I had to get to that dark side and show him the evil side of me. Get to the dark side so I can show him the light. And he saw the light. He went towards the light.
But make no mistake, that was already a broken man that had failed his original mission, which was to remain undefeated at middleweight, go up to light heavyweight, and beat John Jones. And that version of Adesanya was much more content and comfortable with losing, as he had already done it at both weight classes. My point is, Sean Strickland looking like a destroyer against him was just an illusion, a circumstantial streak of luck, of getting a dejected Izzy and possessing the exact fighting style that he was most susceptible to. But even then, I never truly believed that Strickland believed that he could become champion. I think that he was just as surprised as everyone else when things started going his way, and I don't think that he truly believes that he's the best, which is why he fights so timid and doesn't take risks. Because he can say whatever he wants and act as crazy as he wants, but at the end of the day, he's really scared of getting hurt, and you can tell, especially when you compare him to a savage like Dricus du Plessis that absolutely loves to fight, but ironically happens to be a very laid back and nice guy outside of the cage. And why wouldn't he be? He doesn't have anything to prove because he knows that he's a savage. It's just a natural part of him. Just like a guy like Justin Gaethje or Max Holloway or even a Michael Chandler, they all have that laid back demeanor in common but fight like bloodthirsty pit bulls. Sean Strickland, on the other hand, is insecure because he's afraid, so he peacocks his craziness to get people to believe that he's the guy that he knows he's not. But the truth comes out in the midst of battle every single time, and throughout this fallout, it finally came out through Sean too.
I like Eric. He's a friend of mine, and he's going to continue to be a friend of mine. Will he probably be in my corner? Probably not. Guys, we all have excuses as to why we didn't win or why we won and we shouldn't have won. We all have excuses, and they don't matter. Before fighting, you guys, I mean, I had like the lowest self-esteem. Couldn't even look at myself in the mirror. Like, I didn't even know what like dignity was, you know, when I first started fighting. And kind of through fighting, man, like I've learned like so much through the UFC and fighting and fight fans. Like, you guys have changed my life. You've made me grow so much as a person in the ring and out of the ring, and that's why I fight. I'm going back to the gym, I'm working my ass off, and I'm starting from f***ing square one. I'm grateful for my life. I love my job. I love my fans. I support you guys just as much as you support me. Back in the gym, sack up and on to the next.
As you can clearly see, no craziness, nothing unhinged, just humility, logic, and the truth. And knowing that this is the guy that's actually behind the mask, ironically makes me want to root for him. So here's to you, Sean. I hope you win your next fight. But that's just my opinion. Let me know what you think in the comments down below. Like the video if you liked it, and if you want to see more videos like this, hit the subscribe button and the notification bell next to it. And if you want to support the channel further, become a member by hitting the join button if you're on Android or desktop, or the link in the description if you're on iOS.
Can I get a chew, Papi Muñeño?
I don't know who the f you are, but in a different setting, I might hit you.
Okay. All right, sounds good.